Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Me Production, bring you another movie review.
It is quite a time to be a Godzilla fan. Or a giant monster fan in general.
Yes. I would say people are more recognizable as for the MonsterVerse that debuted in 2014. So far it's 4 movies in with an upcoming 5th film on its way.
But of course, it's not to say that its original home hasn't been, checking them out as well. Either, i.e., we had Shin Godzilla not too long ago. We had multiple anime adaptations, and now we are with the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. Is new entry to the franchise, Godzilla -1.
That the film is technically the 69th because 2023. This is Toho's. They literally put an official stamp on it as the 70th film.
Not to say that Toho didn't actually put official stamps on any of the legendary produced films either, but
those are American produced.
Exactly, this is a Toho production, and
the 33rd live action produced. And over the course of many years, Godzilla has been interpreted in many different ways, particularly either from his original standpoint of an antagonistic metaphor for the nuclear bombings in Japan, to anti-hero or legit superhero for the youngsters, and then you got a little blend of certain things depending on from the Heisei and Millennium era.
In my particular point of view, and what I've always wanted the franchise to end up doing, was going back to basics and actually having a film that truly embodied why this character exists in the first place, i.e. bringing it back towards the trauma that the Japanese people endured and how they reconciled with that particular pain in the creation of the atomic beast known as Godzilla or Gojira.
And like we mentioned, for Shin Godzilla, a film that's been made prior to this, that was the start of the Reiwa era, in which this film -1 is also in. That also was a solo entry to the series that did more of a serious take on it. That was more of a response to the Fukushima disaster and how the government, almost like a step-by-step satirical take on how the government handled that situation.
But I feel as though the main issue with Shin Godzilla in that particular situation in itself, I feel as though the movie took it on the concept of being too hands-off, or at least being almost a fly on the wall observing as situations was unraveling or unfolding.
Yeah, it was missing pathos.
Exactly. Something to tie it together that actually gave us a little bit more skin in the game, or allow us to empathize with the story on a deeper emotional level.
So it comes as a surprise when finally we come into Godzilla -1. And the hopes of hoping of finally getting that ground level emotional story take place on top of a Godzilla threat. So the story in Godzilla -1, referring back to the title itself, -1, is set during a time right after World War II.
Exactly. And in this particular hectic time period, the Japanese government has been disbanded, and a lot of its weapons and ability to defend itself is no longer truly available on hand.
Yeah, the country is in complete government oversight from the United Nations, particularly the United States. And this Reconstruction era is very grueling for the many ordinary citizens down below.
Exactly. Having to have lost your home and a lot of loved ones and treasured aspects of your homeland in the wake of a horrifying war and devastating weapons that are used upon you is incredible to have witnessed and actually having to endure. And this particular story centers itself around a select few group of characters that are basically our hearts and minds and ears throughout this entire event.
Yes. Very much most of the script is layered with a lot of post-war trauma of characters of veterans who are coming home to a world, country that's almost unrecognizable. You have a lot of devastation on the many citizens who are basically have to start from the ground up, for like dirt poor, all that types of things.
And that brings us to one of the main characters, of course, being that of Mr. Shikishima, or in this particular case, a man who had been a part of the kamikaze pilot program. And if you know anything about that, the whole concept behind suicide bombers is an incredible concept to try and wrap your head around, having to deal with the concept of what your life is truly worth. And especially for the character Shikishima, who we find out is an ex kamikaze pilot.
Like he's basically a runaway.
A deserter in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and there's what he goes through throughout this film is a sense of deep regret and guilt, survivor's guilt.
Exactly,
actually.
a heavy survivor's guilt
from not only him abandoning his post, but
the individuals who have lost their lives, maybe because he did, uphold his part of his duties.
And a lot of that, and the inciting incident of this movie, that basically catapults us to what takes place. It meant that one of those incidents that's devastating, that traumatizes him throughout over the course of the film, is Godzilla. It makes it even worse where, as we know, Godzilla's origins is that he is baptized by the nuclear testings from America, and thus he becomes even much more of a bigger threat. The character of Shikishima, him going through these post traumas, it's not new to the Godzilla franchise. Actually.
Absolutely, the concept of Godzilla being baptized by the nuclear fires, or just being re-entered into or reconceptualized in himself, is nothing new.
That's the basis of his origins.
Exactly.
And particularly for the character Shikishima, one particular Godzilla movie that comes to mind about a main character dealing with survivor's guilt is the Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, which is a female, but that's set in more contemporary times. And like that character is faced with a lot of rebuttal amongst his peers because of the situations of maybe what this person could have done to prevent even much more tragedies to unfold.
But he is not alone. Of course, he is joined in this particular story in the cast itself with multiple other individuals that highlight a lot of the post-war time realities that a lot of the people with his region was going through. In this particular case, one of the female characters or female leads in this movie being that of Noriko.
Yeah, she is she's like the story with her is like a situational event in which a lot of character, you'll find that a lot of people are becoming like found family.
Exactly. A lot of people are displaced during this particular period. Again, because of the bombings and the devastation that happened when they lost the war. So Noriko, who was also joined by a young little girl named Akiko, are basically trying to find their bearings in this new reality they find themselves. And that thrusts them into Mr. Shikishima's life as well. Yeah. I think one of the major aspects that ties this particular film together as far as themes goes is the whole concept of what a life is truly worth, and how is one able to move forward and find happiness or a new sense of belonging and purpose.
Yes, and a lot of that is also felt with many of the other characters, which Shikishima basically camarades with his new employment group consisting of a boat captain or a youngster who's like in second aid, and also an ex-mechanic scientist who had to take on the special task of basically cleanup duty on within the ocean floor of dismantling bombs.
But of course, when dealing with bombs and anything that has to do with war in and of itself, the King of Monsters is not too far to follow. And yes, again, this is a Godzilla film, and Godzilla has a lot to do.
Yeah, bring it back to its roots. Godzilla is portrayed more as the antagonistic force, a force of nature that's been a concept that's been trying to be highlighted in the MonsterVerse, but that because they decided to take Godzilla more the positive hero route in those movies. This one, the Toho, they bring him more towards the villain route.
Or in this case, this is a creature that is doing what it's doing because this is how it functions in the world.
He's on the hunt, and the hunt is on humans.
Exactly, humans and Japan itself, because it's his territory, and this is what he is going to do as an alpha predator.
It's very much when you have such a multi-layered story and a Godzilla story and a Godzilla threat on top of that, that is such a good thing that this movie has such a clear vision. The director, Takashi Yamazaki, he has been in the business in the Japanese film industry, directing films since the 90s. His filmography, if you were to research him, it mostly is composed of wartime dramas.
Yep.
Or CGI anime adaptations.
And I would definitely say Godzilla -1 blends all that together and is very much put on screen for you to understand, yeah, this is his work.
Yeah, he's credited as a director, writer, and VFX supervisor.
And it all shows.
He's not, and the thing is, this is his debut Godzilla film. This is not his first time in the working the franchise.
Nope.
One of his wartime or post-war movies, something called Always Sunset on 3rd Street, the second film. He was the one who actually brought in the first live-action CGI Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
And from when you see that design, and you see Godzilla -1 design, in between with a CGI ride, theme park ride, you see this evolution of his version of the character that he's clearly been wanting to make since he's basically been in the business. And the mere fact that you see a lot of talk that the movie's been produced with the equivalent, mind you, the equivalent of $15 million.
It's interesting to see how individuals are taking that as a means of, okay, this is what you're able to do with this amount of money, then why can't we do that with other films? Well, you have to take it back towards where that money is actually being utilized and how is it really being distributed.
Yes, as the VFX and CGI, in this film are on par with what you will see from the MonsterVerse or traditional others American Hollywood produced blockbuster.
Exactly.
Though sparingly in the scale, because the scale of the monster is nowhere near as scale as MonsterVerse Godzilla.
No.
And it's also mere fact you're only doing one creature in this movie. But you do have to really understand the Japanese film industry. They do have budget ceilings and how they operate, and the turnaround is tight and fast to the point that a lot of wages are not just fairly distributed. So it's like crunch time. So the mere fact that a movie like this to be so well put together, it has to have clear vision throughout, and
it's incredibly well realized in this vision for this particular film.
Like you have a film that's from the production design recreating a post-World War 1947 Japanese.
You really think and feel as though you are taking a page out of history or gazing through it through some window ceiling or from glass pane as to how things are laid out.
And the Godzilla for being a fully CGI. Yet another CGI animation.
In certain aspects, I will admit it is a little wonky in certain respects, but
mainly in the beginning.
Mainly in the beginning, and some other aspects of when he's moving around in certain parts towards the middle or end. But for the mass majority of what you're getting, I enjoy what I saw.
Yes. there are familiar moments
Yes.
sprinkled in here that will recall previous Godzilla movies. Like, this movie also takes inspirations from the MonsterVerse. And even though that from a previous review, like the Hunger Games, where a lot of the criticisms I said, it's so familiar to the point that it is detrimental to the plot, mainly because in that movie it's very small scale. The familiar moments in this movie is very like they don't take up so much of the screen time.
No, a lot of what you're actually seeing is fresh and new content as far as what you wanted in a new, placement in the franchise.
The score of it is a good representation of that.
This score screamed divine power.
The composer, Naoki Sato, he composes new original musical themes for this movie to help that helps balance out the more wartime drama aesthetic.
Yep.
Because like for the new original score which he composes, it does help with the it helps almost separates the sense in some ways, but because it sounds like what you'll hear from a drama movie.
Yeah.
But a more dramatic, overly dramatic one.
Oh my God! It's saturated in drama, saturated in dramatic tension.
But he also orchestrates original Ifukube themes.
Yes.
That help at certain moments.
The Godzilla March, when it's utilized in this film, and the scene that it's used in, I think that's probably one of the best usage of that particular score that I've heard in almost any of the Godzilla adaptations. That being American or Japanese.
Yeah, because they use it to make it as more of a triumphant moment.
And it so feels that way.
Yes, and it feels good because it's it's not like a stock music where you it was like they just took a pre-recorded one. No, this is reorchestrated to feel more powerful.
That's the whole theme behind this entire soundtrack. It feels powerful. It makes you feel the reverence that you actually want to feel in a Godzilla production.
And so that complete package with a well-rounded story from the human front and also the approach to Godzilla.
Incredibly nuanced and emotionally connective characters.
I'm proud to say this is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
There are some familiar moments and some dodgy effects, but they
pale in comparison to what you actually are being given.
It's a whole full package experience.
You have to go experience it for yourself. If you get the chance, do so.
And even though it might be daunting for someone who's going to be coming new to the series,
I feel so because this is a reimagining of the origins of a character. This is a good time to go ahead and do it. If you ever want to experience a Godzilla film,
especially a Toho one,
exactly, in a way that would help you understand why the character has endured for so long and why so many individuals gravitate, whether or not they're Japanese or from anywhere else around the world. This is one of the movies that you really need to experience for yourself to try and understand it, at the heart.
Yes. So that was our review for Godzilla -1.
As always, if you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. And please hit that bell down there at the bottom for more notifications if you want more videos just like this. Are you a Godzilla fan? How are you feeling this new era of us really getting fed?
Yes. Also, look our shout out for any other related content from our social media outlets of Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also look at our letterbox, or just keep in touch with other movies that we probably don't actually the opinions on some of the films that are under the radar.
Exactly, because there's only so many hours left in the day and not enough time to actually do all the things we want to necessarily get to. But we still have open arms and open minds for us to have an open discussion.
My name is Adam.
And I am Aaron.
This has been a Siki Media production.
See y'all later.